Thanks to our sponsors, Hit Point Press. Check out their Big Bad Bundles, link in the description below. Alright guys, Jameson and Alex here. Today we are talking about the Predator Patron Warlock from Humblewood Tales.
Yes!
So,
got him.
if you're new to the channel or series,
got him.
What we're going to do is go through all the abilities gained in the subclass, and we're going to rate the roleplay, combat, and synergy based on how the abilities gained improve on the base class abilities.
Yep.
Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to be entered in our D&D Beyond Players Bundle giveaway.
Because we want to give you free stuff.
All that being said, let's get right to it. I know.
We're a warlock. We get an expanded spell list to choose from. It's only a list to choose from because you're a warlock. Hunter Spark, Jump, Alter Self, Ambush, Prey, which is a new spell to the Humblewood folks. Blink, Slow, Dominate, Beast, Freedom of Movement, Contagion, and Mislead. Again, but you're a warlock. Also going to get some bonus proficiencies. You're going to get Expertise with the Survival skill, and you get to add double your proficiency bonus with any survival skill checks that you make.
All right.
That's going to be on theme.
Yeah, for sure.
To the extreme.
And then
I did that. I'm sorry. That wasn't even intentional that time, I swear.
Anyways, also at the first level, you get what this whole thing's really built around, which is the Form of the Beast, which, as a bonus action, you can channel the ferocity and guile of your patron, transforming into a beastly figure. For 10 minutes, you gain the following abilities. You are flooded with adrenaline. You gain temp HP equal to 2 times your warlock level, to a maximum of 20 at level 10. These temp HP last until the end of your transformation. Your senses become supernaturally keen. You have advantage on dexterity, stealth, wisdom perception, and wisdom survival checks you make to track or stalk your prey. You also sprout a set of pointed teeth and razor-sharp claws, which are natural weapons, and you can use them for unarmed strikes against creatures within 5 feet. You have proficiency with these weapons and can use your charisma modifier for the attack and damage rolls made using these weapons. On a hit, your bite deals 1d6 piercing, your claws deal 1d4 slashing. If you've already had a bite or claw attack, its damage increases by 1 step, i.e. d4 becomes a d6, d6 becomes d8, etc. As a bonus action, after making a bite attack, you can make a claw attack. And then at level 5, your muscles strengthen, your movements quicken. You can now make 2 claw attacks using your bonus action after you have made a bite attack with your action. Additionally, at 5th level, you can take the dash or hide action as a bonus action while you are in the Form of the Beast. And then you can use this feature twice per short rest or long rest. At 6th level, transformation lasts for an hour instead of 10 minutes.
Yep.
So, a lot to that, which we will unpack in the rating portion.
Yes. Next up in level 6 is Thrill of the Hunt. Gain the ability to feast on the vitality of your foes while you're in your Form of the Beast. Once per turn, when you hit a creature with your bite attack, you can cause the attack to deal an extra 3d6 necrotic damage, and you regain a number of hit points equal to half the total damage dealt with the attack. So it's the extra necrotic damage plus the base damage, and you get half that much back in healing. Once you use the feature, you can't use it again until you score a critical hit or until you finish a short or long rest. It's a critical hit with a bite or a claw attack, so any of the 3 crits can give you back the bonus damage, necrotic healing, bite attack.
Yes, that's nice to see an alternative to just giving you a straight-up short rest on there.
Yes. And at 10th level, the extra necrotic damage does increase to 5d6.
All right. Level 10, we have Fearsome Presence. You can use your action to cause each hostile creature you can see within 30-foot radius to make a wisdom save. On its failure, the target becomes frightened for a minute and is restrained until the end of your next turn. A frightened creature can repeat the save at the end of its turn, ending the effect on a success. Mm-hmm. Once you use this feature, you can't use it again until you finish a short or long rest.
And at 14, we get Uncaged Beast. When an attacker that you can see hits you with an attack, you can use your reaction to immediately transform into your Form of the Beast. Then you can make 1 bite or claw attack with an enemy within 5 feet of you. Additionally, while transformed into your Form of the Beast, when you take damage from a creature that is within 5 feet of you, you can use your reaction to make a bite or claw attack against that creature.
There you go. So those are all the abilities, but we have some new invocations as well that go along with this. So surprise, surprise.
One in particular is an almost must-take.
Yes, so going along with those, first is the Feral Transformation, which requires level 7. As an action, you can transform into a dire wolf, giant spider, or giant octopus, following the same rules as polymorph, but you retain your intelligence, wisdom, and charisma. You also retain all of your saving throw proficiencies, in addition to gaining those of the creature, as well as any skill proficiencies that your beast form is physically capable of performing. If the creature has the same proficiency as you and the bonus in its stat block is higher than yours, use the creature's bonus instead of yours. You maintain the ability to speak and can cast spells that have only verbal components. You maintain this form for an hour or until the form drops to 0, at which point you revert back to normal. If you revert as a result of dropping to 0 hit points, any excess damage carries over to normal form, which is typical.
Yep.
And then once you use this invocation, you can't use it again until you finish a long rest.
Next up is Hex Shredder, and it's a prerequisite for Pact of the Blade. Your fingers grow into bestial claws, which you can use to make unarmed strikes that deal 1d6 points of slashing damage. You may add your charisma modifier instead of strength to attack and damage rolls made with these unarmed strikes. Your unarmed strikes count as packed weapons, in addition to any melee weapons you have chosen, and as light weapons for the purposes of 2-weapon fighting. So if you remember back from what the subclass gives you, it specifies if you have weapons of other sorts, this ability allows that to scale up to the next size dice. So this ability gives you 1d6. That would make the base ability go to 1d8. So very nice to pair with. And again, Pact of the Blade.
And yeah, you can use it as part of your pact.
Yes. And again, the clarification there at the end was light weapons and 2-weapon fighting. So if you did dip into something that gave you a fighting style with 2-weapon fighting, you could make the most out of all of that.
Absolutely. Then we have a Primal Summoner, which requires Pact of the Chain. When you cast a Find Familiar spell, you can choose one of the following special forms, in addition to the normal ones: Blink Dog, Death Dog, Panther, or Warg. Additionally, you can spend a bonus action on your turn to command the familiar to take the attack action against an opponent of your choice.
Next up is Hunter's Grimoire, which is a Pact of the Tome, which makes sense because it's a book and, tomes and books and things. Whenever you recover physical evidence from a creature, so a drop of blood, strand of hair, DNA-based things, you can offer it to your Book of Shadows in a special ritual that takes 10 minutes to perform. The ritual consumes the offered physical evidence as the name of the creature from which it came is inscribed upon the page in a red ink, because blood and life force and all that jazz. After the ritual, as long as you have your Book of Shadows with you, you have advantage on any intelligent checks you make related to the creature. Additionally, you can spend 1 minute examining the page to learn one of the following facts about the creature: its type and alignment, any names or aliases it has used, its current distance and direction from you, providing it's on the same plane of existence, because it would be weird if you knew, well, it's on the ethereal plane, but it's like 374 miles away on a different plane of existence. It's like, no, hold on, XYZ axis, like how does that work? Anyway, so yeah, same plane of existence. Any vulnerabilities or flaws it has, whether or not it is wounded, but not like how severely wounded, so it's just, it's been injured. But whether or not it's suffering from any conditions, a curse, or similar effect, as well as the nature of that effect. And the page can only hold the name of one creature at a time, and you can choose whether to replace the name of a creature currently occupying the space on the page each time you complete the ritual.
All right. Whew, made it. So those are all of the extra invocations as well.
As far as y'all know, I got that on the first try.
Definitely.
First try.
First try.
But did not.
So those are all the abilities and invocations. So we'll just jump straight into the rating portion. First up is the roleplay asterisk, as always. Talking about roleplay, we're talking about interacting with the world around you, interacting with NPCs, non-combat scenarios, avoiding combat, basically things outside of the initiative order. Not talking about your class fantasy, history, lore, background. That's on you as a player. We can't rate you, but we can rate the abilities gained in the subclass and how they might improve your potential in those roleplay scenarios.
Yes.
So, all that being said, looking at the Predator Warlock, you get some decent spells, but you're a Warlock, so you have to choose them. They're not free. You have limited spell slots.
Yep.
You know the gist.
If you've been watching the channel at all, you know the gist by now. If not, it's a recurring thing.
Absolutely. So with that, you do get expertise with survival. Sure, it makes sense. You're not going to be upset about having expertise in anything.
Especially
now, I say that, but if you have your whole campaign is like in an urban environment, you're probably not going to run into that.
Yeah, it's one of those things. Yeah, but at most campaigns, unless you're doing like Waterdeep specifically,
sure,
you're going to get some sort of nature-based open world stuff.
The transformation has some as well. I mean, you're getting some buffs to different ability checks based on tracking or stalking. Definitely can come into play. but you have limited uses of your transformation, so it can maybe be a little questionable sometimes to use it in RP. I mean, there's also the fear or frightened condition, which can come into play in RP, especially social interactions. You know, you can cause all kinds of chaos with frightened conditions in social settings. So there are some interesting options. They do fall a little bit more on the niche side of things. Yeah. So we went with a 3 out of 5 for hero play.
On the combat side of things, again, we start with the spell list, but your Warlock, Hunter's Mark, obviously slow, dominate beast, because anytime you can screw with the action economy by not, because hold person's one thing, or hold beast, hold monster, those are one things, because you're just removing them from the combat. But then there's the S tier variety. It's dominate, because you're not just removing somebody from the combat.
You're adding it to your...
You're flipping it on the sides. That's a huge swing, because it's one of those things like, well, if they succeeded after one turn, it just kind of feels wasted. It's like, no. Because if they at least took one turn to hit somebody on the other team, that's so worth it, because it's fantastic. Anyway, love that. But again, you're a Warlock, so keep that in mind. Your Form of the Beast gives you a ton of options, especially once you hit 5. Because initially you're like, it's 1d6 and 1d4. Like, why would I not just Eldritch Blast? Yes. Besides, but you still get the you still get the temp HP, so that's still there. So even at that early on. Now, once you get to 5, and you get to make a total of 3 attacks, you're getting the bite and 2 claw attacks. It's a little different, because also you can take the hide action as a bonus action or dash, so you get a lot of mobility and some flexibility in there. And this is where normally we tell you, like, you have to take Agonizing Blast with your, with Eldritch Blast for your invocations because you have to. This is where one of those ones you almost have to take the Hex Shredder invocation down here, because it makes that that bite and that claw attack go from D4s and D6 to D6 and D8, making it more potent right off the bat. So that's wonderful. It does. Eventually, you get to do some extra necrotic damage when you choose to do it, and you get some healing out of it. And I love that it's the total damage of the attack. It's like it's an empowered bite. Yeah. So you get healing from all of it. Right. And again, like Jameson brought up earlier, it's wonderful in terms of that it gives you a way to trigger it besides just being so reliant on short and long rests to get your abilities back. You're like, if you get a crit, you get it back. It's almost like you got such a good juicy bite. It tasted too good. Yeah. You want another bite. So you're gonna get another bite. Damage goes up. It's necrotic damage. It's a good damage type. It's not the best damage type, but it's a good damage type. Because unless you're fighting undead stuff.
Yep, I was waiting for that comment.
I'm gonna get there. Unless you're fighting undead stuff, it's gonna be effective 95% of the time. So, but the only thing that resisted is undead stuff.
Aberration.
The fearsome presence, again, is a wisdom save. So again, not terrible, not great, but it's a wisdom save. Is an AoE fear, but it's a buffed version of it, because when something's frightened, normally it has to take its movement to run away from you. Yeah. But it's restrained in place.
Can't move closer.
Yeah, it can't move closer. At the very least. Yeah, at the very least, it can't move to you. But this says it's so terrified, it's frozen in place. Yeah. Which is great for you to go in there and start biting on stuff, because if it's restrained in place, it's advantage. Oh, and then it gives you more chance to get them crits, so you can get your bite attack back with more damage, and again, plays very well with itself.
What a comment.
Anyway, onto the capstone. It's effective. A little lackluster, I think, for a capstone, but it does give you the chance to immediately transform as a reaction, so that's good. And gives you a use for your reaction every turn, as far as if somebody hits you, you can just immediately hit somebody back. And it does say you can use the bite or the claws, or for some reason you still had your empowered bite and you wanted just to really, you really wouldn't hit me with that sword that bad. So, take a big chunk out of somebody. It's fantastic. So, there's a lot of interesting there, but the challenge is you are very, very reliant on short rest to get a lot of your abilities back or the crit, which you kind of already are as a warlock, but with a 3.5 out of a possible 5, because your form, if you're not in your Form of the Beast, you're losing a lot of what this subclass,
much of anything really
subclass gives you, but you do get multiple uses of it, so it's you've got opportunities, but it's
right.
But yeah, that is what it is. It's a warlock, so a lot of the limitations that hold around the same way.
Right, and kind of going into synergy with that, I think one of my main comments to make about that is, as a warlock, you are really tied to short rests just as a class.
Yeah.
So when you see something like this that has a lot of its features as well tied to short rest, it's not the best thing in the world. So I mean, looking at your abilities, your fearsome presence is a short rest. Your thrill of the hunt is a short rest unless you get a crit.
Yep.
Your transformation is twice per short rest.
Yep.
There's a lot on your short rest, and a lot is reliant on that form of the beast as well with that. Now, the other thing I'm not crazy about, again, is the capstone.
Yep.
If you go before a creature, like if you don't get hit on your first turn,
yep,
you're going to bonus action transform if you're able to do so, most likely.
Yeah.
So the fact that you're trying to get a reaction to maybe get it like 1 turn earlier, 2 turns earlier.
It's just going to let you trigger the temp HP faster.
And it lets you use your bonus action on your first turn. So
yeah.
It is nice when it does work, but how often is it really going to matter? Probably not a ton.
It's really going to be only if somebody else is going before you in combat and they try to hit you before you get your first turn.
Right.
Because besides that, like, it'd be really weird for you to take the time to transform like 3 turns into combat.
Yeah.
Because like if you've got a use of it and you're in a combat, you're going to use it.
Yeah.
On your first turn.
Now, the other thing is with this, you do get a little bit of temp HP, but it's only 20 max at level 10.
Yeah.
So that's not a ton of health.
It's not.
So you're a warlock. You're not a sorcerer or a wizard, but you're still a warlock. You're not the most durable thing in the world either.
You're not a barbarian or a paladin.
Even with 20 temp HP, you're not. I mean, that's not a lot to really keep you safe.
No.
And then you do get some healing, but it is again pretty limited. So you have a little bit of defensive options, but the question is it enough for you to warrant being up in the fray with and doing natural weapon attacks, melee range? I don't know. It's a little questionable.
Yeah.
So with that, again, too, Hex Shredder is going to be really helpful.
Yeah.
If you do decide to go that and pack the blade route and everything, I think that's going to make the most sense, most likely, with that. So that being said, we went with a 3.5 out of 5 for the synergy as well.
Mm-hmm.
It has some good options and some good utility.
Yep.
But it's very reliant and very limited on usages for some of the abilities.
Yeah.
So,
again, it's in terms of can it be any more warlock? No, because of like I said, it leans into short rest. You get all of your abilities back on short rest except for one.
Mm-hmm.
So one of just letting you trigger them more often and getting reaction more when chances to use opportunity attacks essentially.
Sure.
Besides that, it's like short rest, and you're already begging your team for that anyway.
Yeah. And I will say too, one thing that is nice that I kind of just didn't mention it is when you get higher level and the form lasts longer, it becomes more reliable as well. So you don't necessarily have to use it every single combat because it lasts for an hour. So maybe you get 2, maybe 3 combats. If you're in a dungeon or something, you could have multiple combats within an hour potentially, for sure. So it does get a little bit more reliable.
Yes.
So. But yeah, that's going to be all for today, guys. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the bell notification so you know when all of our new videos are out. Make sure to check out the sponsors and the link down below. And as always, thanks for watching. Thanks to our sponsors, Hit Point Press. Check out their big, bad bundles. Unique, cool monsters, history, lore, everything you need to throw these villains into your campaigns.
And it's a great way to get around your players that like to metagame, or if they do it accidentally, like I tend to do at times. Maybe they think they know what this monster is by the description. They can create some fun opportunities and unique things to throw at even your most experienced players would not see coming.
So check out the link in the description down below.